Live from the Roxo Media House studios in Clear Fork, Season 6 continues throughout the summer. Baseball concluded their 39-win season at the NCAA Regionals last week in Oregon, and track and field head to Oregon to compete in the national championships, qualifying 19 student athletes to the outdoor championships. Tennis Grand Slam from Paris, the French Open featured Pro Frogs Cam Norrie and Jake Fernley battling it out in the third round. TCU swim and dive alum Anna Kwong joins the show ahead of her preparation for the World Championships in Singapore in July for USA Diving, and women's golfer Sophia Barroso-Sa returns from nationals and took to the Charles Schwab Invitational Pro-Am paired with the world #1 golfer Scottie Scheffler. This is Season 6 of our Frogs Today weekly show, and we are back in the studio after taking the show on the road to Gulf Shores, College Station, and Corvallis, Oregon. I'm your host, Devean Deal with football.
And I'm Markis Deal with football as well. We've been hard at work in our brand new weight room, the Jamal Power Strength Room. It's got everything you need and more.
We've got all the different machines you can dream of, tracking systems, and everything that we need to be a successful football team coming this fall.
Kirk Sarlos and his Frog Ball team saw their season come to an end last week after their 20th regional appearance, and just as baseball departs to the Northwest, our track team heads that way. But to the University of Oregon, taking on Hayward Stadium after their solid performance in the West Regional in College Station last week.
A national champion in trampoline to a gold medalist for the USA Diving. TCU diving alum Anna Kwong is in the studio today to talk about her journey growing up in Omaha as a gymnast and trampolinist turned into one of the Horned Frog's most decorated divers.
We had a chance to catch up with more frogs making news around the world, coming in future episodes. And our team got to get out of the weight room and compete on the racetrack, the go-kart track to be specific. We got baseball and track and field when we return, but first, a word from our sponsors, Richard Rainwater.
The best tasting water comes straight from the sky, leaving just pure, refreshing raindrops in every bottle. Taste the difference, sip the sky.
What do you see when you look up at the clouds? At Richard's Rainwater, we see the greatest source of pure, delicious water looking right back down at us. We've invented a simple, powerful technology to collect and bottle rainwater. Our process begins with the rain. When clouds become saturated, droplets fall from the sky. Rainfall is a naturally cleansing event. During the first few minutes, the raindrops clean the atmosphere and wash away any dirt or debris from surface areas. At this cleanest point in the rain cycle, we collect the pure raindrops into large storage vessels. Then, we use a simple, yet effective combination of ozone and microfiltration to ensure our rainwater surpasses the highest drinking water standards. We pour the pure, refreshing rainwater into glass bottles and aluminum cans, packaging as infinitely renewable as the water itself. Richard's Rainwater is building a network of collection systems across the country to ensure our rainwater is local everywhere. The purest, best-tasting water comes from the sky. Richard's Rainwater, sip the sky.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Devean Deal, and we're going to start with baseball as their season ended with their loss to Oregon State last week. Our 39-win baseball team made their 20th NCAA appearance and came up short. With a great mix of veterans and underclassmen, this team is set to follow up the successful season with another exciting run. Head coach Kirk Sarlos mentioned how much the end of the season stings, but the future is bright.
Probably turn to that in a little bit. Just, this one stings still. Just thought we had a really great chance of continuing to play and go deeper into this tournament. And like Tony said, all those guys and, another guy that we're missing today is in that group is Carson Bowen. Carson went through it for 3 years, a World Series team, missed a regional, and then him being injured, missed it this year. So I can't say enough about those older players that Tony talked about, and including Carson. That's kind of the guys I'm thinking about right now. I'll turn my attention later on to what we have coming back, but I can't thank that older group enough.
Junior shortstop Anthony Silva also talks about the youth on the roster and returners for next year.
This year kind of reminded me of my freshman year, how much young talent and combined with the veterans that we have, just playing together is. We had guys like me and Braden and a bunch of other guys coming back for our third year. We have Brody and Cademan, Cohen, all of them. It's their fourth year here. And then we have, I don't know how many freshmen that played just today. We have plenty of freshmen in the lineup, plenty of freshmen that throw innings for us. So I don't know, I feel like this year just reminded me of my freshman year, and obviously not the outcome we wanted, but I love this team, love this school, love the fans. I can't thank God enough for every single person I've met throughout the way.
With the team finishing third in the Big 12 and runner-up in the Big 12 tournament, Sarlos felt like his group didn't play like they had played all year as the postseason began, but is extremely proud of the group for the body of work they put on display all season.
We just really didn't play the way we played all year, in all three areas, pitching, defense, and offense, and because we were really consistent the whole year with a young group, with some veterans obviously leading the way. And I felt like we didn't play the way we played all year, and I think that's evident in the way the scores ended up being. And what's that reason? I'm not sure. But like I said before, I couldn't be more proud of a group of young men that gave it everything that they had, and we just played our worst baseball, I feel like, at the end of the year.
The transfer portal is open, and earlier this week, J.D. Andrus from Horned Frogs on SI reports that freshman star Noah Franco will remain at TCU, saying, "I'm staying here and not leaving TCU or this team." That after news that veteran catcher, first baseman Carson Bowen has entered the portal. Bowen was injured at the end of the season and was batting .333. Now to track and field. The Frogs have their sights set on Eugene and Hayward Field at the University of Oregon for the NCAA Outdoor National Championships. The venue has hosted more USA Olympic trials and NCAA championships than any other venue. The Horned Frogs will send 19 athletes to Eugene after a solid performance at regionals in College Station last week.
The regional meet went about as well as it could have gone. We hit pretty much on all cylinders. All the individuals, 99% of the individuals we thought could make it, made it. We probably missed out on one, maybe two, but all the rest made it. The kids showed up. They came, they showed up and showed out. They performed as a team. The team chemistry and culture was really, really good. Everybody was positive. Everybody was excited, and everybody was fired up to compete and to have on the purple and perform for TCU. So we was excited about that. So we got a good amount of individuals going to nationals and making it through the regionals qualifier.
The women who finished third in the Big 12 and currently ranked number 14 in the USTF CCA national rankings will send 11 entries, which is the most in the Big 12 and tied for 7th nationally. The indoor 200 national champion, freshman India Mayberry, leads the way with 2 entries in the 100 and the 200. The men had 4 individuals punch their tickets and both relay teams, the 4x1 and the 4x4, with a total of 6 entries, which is the most since 2008. Head coach Kadivas Robinson talks about the preparation for nationals, and this is what they've been working for all year.
So this is the part that they all worked hard for. This is what you think about when you start at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the season. This is what you want. You want to be at the national championships. Once you make it to the national championships, it's similar. It's not the same, but it's similar to making the Olympic team. Evidently you're in great shape because you made it. And you cannot make it unless you're fit and you're ready to go. So at that point, you're good, you're ready to go. Now it's just a matter of just mentally being ready, like mentally being prepared for the type of environment, right? Everybody's good. That's the way it is. And so you should be excited. You should be excited and stay with what got you there, right? Don't go there and because it's a lot of good people and all those types of things, start trying to change things. Just say, okay, this is what got me here. Rely on your fitness, rely on the organization of the team, rely on all those things that have gotten you there, and have faith, man. That's where faith comes in. You can't predict the future, but you can control yourself. You can control your emotions. You can control your mentality. Control those things, and let the coaches coach. Let your teammates be their teammates, and be a good support system, and go for it.
Frogs Today will be in Eugene, bringing you all the coverage starting Tuesday next week, with competition getting underway on Wednesday, June 11th, with the men. ESPN will bring you all the action as well on Wednesday and Thursday, and ESPN2 on Friday and Saturday. Good luck to all our Horned Frogs next week. My brother Markis has TCU diver Anna Kwong when we return.
Welcome to the Squire Shop.
We are locally owned and operated since 1994.
We specialize in the finest men's clothing that the market has to offer. at affordable prices with unbelievable service.
We do custom clothing all the way to more casual, Peter Millar, Johnny O, kind of everything. Well, my dad's the owner, so I've been around retail my whole life. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's the best boss I'll ever have. I know that.
We love our TCU community. They have been so good to us. Come see us today. Go Frogs!
Cheesy as it sounds, it really is so, you feel weightless and just like you're flying. And it's just so unlike anything else. And so diving really let me experience that again and control and challenge myself in a way that running and playing tennis didn't. Because there's always new skills to acquire. And there's always degree of difficulty to push, and it's such a game of how you can improve and how you can make these tiny little tweaks to improve the beauty of the dive, because that's ultimately what you're judged on, is how beautiful your dive is. And how beautifully you can do really difficult dives. And so I just love the challenge and how it pushes me, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well. And yeah, I just really love what I do.
We are back here at the Roxanne Media House Studios in Clear Fork, and we had the pleasure of having TCU and USA diver Anna Kwong in our studio to talk about her journey in the sport, as she is one of the most decorated divers in the history of TCU. Kwong talks about how she got started late, mind you, as a gymnast and trampolinist, and once she got to TCU, what learning curve took place.
So I was a trampolinist for 8 years competitively. I had started in gymnastics like most people do, and then I switched over to trampoline when gymnastics got pretty intense. And I loved it. It was so much fun. I just loved the feeling of flying through the air. And I really just had fun with it, and that enjoyment did result in 2 national championships, which I'm really, really grateful for, and a strong foundation in air awareness and being able to control my movements. And so then when freshman year of high school started, it got really intense with school, and I was also in cross country, and I just didn't feel like I could keep up with it. And also all of my friends that also entered high school that year, they had quit too. So I was just like really feeling lonely, and like I couldn't really keep up with it. So I ended up quitting, saying goodbye to trampoline. And then a year later, my sophomore year, my other ex-gymnast friends, they wanted to start the dive team at our school. And so they needed a third person. So they were sisters. And so they asked me if I would be the third person to kickstart this diving program. And I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. My brother had done a little bit in our brother high school, but we just started going, and I really fell in love with the sport. And so I continued after the high school season, and I joined the club program. And then my club coach, Peter Charles, through Airborne Diving Academy, he's really wonderful. He mentioned to my mom that maybe we should start looking at colleges. And I thought he was crazy, because I had been diving for less than a year at that point, and I had done summer league. And so I had a little bit of the foundation of like, okay, in the water you go on your head, on the trampoline you go on your feet, just like kind of that distinction. So I did have a little bit of diving, but definitely not competitively, and to the level that is required for college recruiting, you know? And so once COVID hit, that was also just threw a wrench in a lot of things, but I was really, really grateful that the TCU coach still wanted to chat with me, and he ended up offering me a spot, and I took it, and I am just so beyond grateful for it. So coming in to TCU, I had touched a 3 meter probably maybe 10 times, and those dives that college coaches are looking for of the 2.5 flips on 3 meter, I could count on one hand how many reps I had done on each of them. And so you obviously are going to send your best ones to your college coach. And so coming in, I had a lot of imposter syndrome and insecurity about that. because I also didn't know how to spot my surroundings in the air. And so that makes it a lot more difficult to trust yourself to perform those skills well. And so I was really grateful that Anthony took the time and patience and effort to step back in my diving and work with me to achieve those skills. And so it was about 6 weeks of smacking over and over, and it just painted my legs purple with bruises, but it all paid off because then I learned how to use my eyes in the air, and it has really improved my diving, and it helped my trajectory take off.
Her insecurities on how late she started and comparing herself to other divers. As she arrived at TCU, she was scared, but was able to draw strength from her faith that she actually belongs and can do well.
I was so scared. I was so stressed out. And sometimes I still do, really. The imposter syndrome is so real because you come into this college team and you see videos of them online and you like watch them compete against other college athletes, and it's just such like a big starstruck dream, and coming into that I felt such the need to prove myself and prove that Anthony didn't make a mistake recruiting me, and prove that I belong. And so it was really tough to and I just put my head down and I worked as hard as I could to live up to and grow into that role of being a college diver. And I'm just so grateful for the support I've received and the growth that I have had through that opportunity. Because I do believe that I have grown into owning it. And even just this past nationals, I started to truly believe in myself, because it's so easy to compare yourself to other divers, and I have a lot of insecurity about how late that I started, and how much experience I'm lacking in that, and knowing first and foremost that my worth does not come from diving. My worth comes from being made in the image and likeness of God and being his child. And second of all, knowing that he's given me my body, mind, and spirit that allow me to work hard and to grow and persevere and succeed. And stepping into that belief of, no, like I have the capability to be a good diver and to be a great diver and to have success and to be consistent as I need to be to succeed. And step away from the imposter syndrome and feeling like I don't belong and I'm so much worse than these people, and like, how did I even get here, and owning it, because there's such a difference between being told to have confidence and like, oh yeah, like I have belief, and like convincing yourself that you're gonna do well versus actually knowing and believing that you belong and that you can do well.
From being a national champion in trampoline to now hitting the water, she never really realized she could be a college athlete.
My aunt and grandpa were actually gonna come to Fort Worth, and so my mom said, hey, by the way, we're gonna go to visit TCU because your other aunt said that if she could do college over again, she would go to TCU. And by the way, you should reach out to the college coach and see if he would meet with you. And so I was like, okay, that's kind of wild. Like, he's definitely not going to want to meet with me. But I sent him the email anyways. So thanks, Mom. And he did meet with me, and we started the recruiting process. So yeah, like I didn't really have college coaches reaching out to me because I was very unknown and new. And so I reached out to him, and I had an unofficial visit. I never actually took any official recruiting visits, partly because of COVID, but also partly because I was really new and unknown. And I never really was in the junior circuit of USA Diving either. So these senior national meets are the first USA Diving national meets that I've been to, whereas a lot of my competitors had been to junior nationals, and some of them have been international before with Team USA. And this was actually my first spring nationals with USA Diving. And I've been to 3 winter nationals now and 1 Olympic trials. So it's kind of funny that I went to Olympic trials before spring nationals. But honestly, just by the grace of God, that my trajectory has been so quick to take off.
Her diving career quickly took off at TCU, her academics as well. Add USA qualifications to her resume. Being able to keep up with everything, including organic chemistry, forced her to lose a lot of sleep.
I majored in biology on the pre-medical track, and so that in itself has its own challenges and demands on my time. But what I've realized is that all you can do in one moment is all you can do. And as long as you're putting your best foot forward and giving all you can to where you are right now, that's enough. And so I did lose a lot of sleep, my sophomore and junior years especially, just trying to keep up with my studies, with organic chemistry and organic chemistry labs and everything, and all of my classes, and also still show up early and still stay late at training to really get a dive, get a correction where I needed it to be, and not settling for good enough, and really striving for better, best, and knowing that I can give more and choosing to give more even when I am exhausted and even when it feels like a giant task. And that is also where I draw strength from my faith, because my strength comes from God, and everything good comes from above. And so in each moment, there is a challenge to embrace what you're presented with and choose the greater good, even when it's hard. And so choosing to get out of bed when you don't want to, when you really just want to sleep because you had a late night studying, and choosing like, no, I need to do this for my sport, and choosing to not go out because I need to study or I need to recover. There's all these little choices that make up success that you see in one moment. There's so many little moments, and with nutrition too. Like I've worked a lot on realizing that I need a lot more protein than I thought I did, and then within everything that you give, making sure that my cup is filled back up. And so where I fill my cup up is, I found a really, really wonderful community in the Newman Center here. And so they have just shown me so much love and acceptance and support, and just filling my cup back up with Jesus has just been what's allowed me to get this far and not go insane.
The ultimate goal of competing in the Olympics seemed a bit out of reach for Kwong until this past nationals last month, where she earned 2 golds and a silver. Delusions and insecurities are far less now than they have been in the past. She talks about her opportunity to dive for USA and her country as she was attempting to qualify for Paris and down the road, LA.
It was so surreal. So that was the biggest stage that I'd been on. And I didn't feel like I belonged. I really didn't. And I got my qualification at the Big 12 championships a few months before in March. And I had worked for it for the 8 months leading up to that, and I kept falling short, and I finally got it at conference. And when I got to the trials in Knoxville, I saw all the athletes that I'd been watching and looking up to, and studying their dives to improve my own, and all of a sudden they're in front of me, and all of a sudden I'm competing with them. It just didn't feel real, and it felt like I got the cut on like inflated scores or something, and it was really hard for me to believe that I had earned it, because imposter syndrome is so real. And so during the dives though, you just have to ignore everything else. And when anyone's competing, you just have to ignore everything else. And so just doing the best I could in the moment, I ended up qualifying for the final, which also felt like really surreal and just an amazing gift. And so I started to believe that maybe I do belong, and maybe my coach telling me that I could make it to the Olympics one day wasn't such a far off dream, you know? And so my coach has believed in me so much from the start, and he often presents me with big goals that seem impossible. And rather than denying that and not working hard because I don't believe that it could be true, I have chosen to just like set aside that disbelief and just trust him and in the moment, and say like, well, I mean, that seems impossible, but I'll just give it my all anyways, you know? And so just choosing to give my all and strive towards a goal that seems really out of reach has brought it to be within reach. And I really only have felt that it's truly within my reach this past nationals, earning 2 golds and a silver. Only now have I felt not delusional almost, and not insecure saying that I am striving to go to the 2028 Olympics.
At the USA Diving National Championship, Kwong won a gold in the 1 meter springboard and 3 meter synchro, as well as silver in the 3 meter, and continues to grow in every aspect of life.
I think the biggest thing is probably degree of difficulty. So coming in, most people don't have what's called a pike list. So we have 6 dives in college, but 5 dives in everywhere else for women. And so the game that you play is how hard of a dive can you do really beautifully. And so the degree of difficulty is multiplied by the judges' scores. And so if you have a harder dive, you have a larger multiplication factor and thus more points, and hopefully more golds. So Anthony saw potential in me to do more difficult dives, and we are still working towards more difficult dives than most girls do. So he has worked a lot with me on strength and technique and power in order to perform them, but I think that even more so, he has made my diving more aesthetic and more beautiful in the air, because you really need to lock out your knees all the way and point your feet all the way. And the rip entry is huge, and it's kind of like water bending almost. You need to be able to draw your body through a single hole in the water and reduce the splash as much as possible. And that is a skill that took a long time for me to learn. And so we have spent every summer just working on improvements here and there, and focusing on the little details to improve technique where I can, to not lose those little half points, you know? And so my entries have gotten exponentially better, from just being like a splash to actually being able to rip, hopefully most times. And then consistency as well, just like getting the reps in to know that I can be consistent and be comfortable with the dives that I have. And then growth in mindset as well. The mental game is huge in any sport, but especially in diving, when there is a likelihood, and I have hit the board a few times. At conference my junior year, I hit my arm, and I still have the scar here a little bit, but I was all bloodied and bruised on my hands, and being able to, and I had to get up the next day and do that dive again, and that is mental strength that needs to be practiced, and learned and developed. And so I've also worked with a sports psychologist a lot that has helped my mindset a lot, and just overcome mental blocks and fears of dives themselves and hitting the board, but also of self-sabotaging and doubts that creep in and moving away from those. So there's been a lot of growth just really in all areas of life that diving has helped me in. And I haven't even mentioned spiritually also, because my faith has deepened so much because of diving, just giving me an opportunity to lean on the Lord for confidence and strength and courage, and belief in the gifts that He has given me, and just leaning into everything and giving me an opportunity to surrender myself and my dreams and my goals and my desires, and just surrender to His will. So really every aspect of life you could think of has grown.
Between finishing her diving career at TCU with NCAAs and now moving on from representing the Horned Frogs to representing her country heading to Mexico, Canada, China, and Auburn, her life isn't slowing down, and between all of that, she walked the stage at the Schollmeyer at graduation.
Such a blessing to be able to compete for Team USA and represent the United States of America for the first time, because now I'm not just representing a university, I'm representing a whole country. It's so crazy to wrap my head around, and something that I've dreamed of for such a long time. And it's been really special to be able to have that opportunity. So it's been a ton of travel. Out of the past 13 weeks, I've been gone for 8, between conference zones, NCAAs, but then I had 1 week off before going to Mexico for a week, Guadalajara, and then Windsor, Canada for the World Cup Series legs 1 and 2. And we did qualify for the super final in Beijing. So I had 2 weeks off, and then I went to Beijing for another week. And those 2 weeks were pretty hectic because we had to get a Chinese visa in record time. But our director was really good, and she organized it all and she got it done. And by the grace of God, we got to go and we got everything in time. Because I got my visa on Saturday and I left on Sunday. And so it was just really remarkable, because I've never been to China before, but my grandparents were born there. And so it was really special to think about them in heaven and be competing, not just for me, but for them too, And so the jump between competing in Beijing for a week, I came back on a Saturday and I left on Wednesday for Auburn to train for a couple days, but then I did come back for the stolling ceremony and for graduation, which I'm really grateful that I was able to do too, because that was very emotionally fulfilling, to be able to complete and close this chapter with my best friends that I have lived with for the past, well, one of them for 4 years, but 2 years as well. And then I flew back to Auburn and competed the next day. And I learned a lot about myself and my own capabilities, because there was a lot of anxiety around so much travel, and then I felt like I wasn't really setting myself up for success at nationals, when nationals is so important to qualify to worlds, And so I had a lot of anxiety about that and doubt. But once I got there, I did have a couple people being like, "Oh my gosh, you must be so tired. I can't believe you just flew in." And being able to step back and really analyze that, no, I'm okay. Like, I actually feel great and I'm ready to compete. Like maybe I didn't train yesterday, but I had a good session the day before, even though it was in a different state. Whereas everyone else has just been here. But really believing that I can do more than I think I can, and I am capable, and I'm adaptable, and able to give my best and perform well despite whatever circumstances I'm in, you know. And so then we competed 3-meter synchro on Sunday, 1-meter on Monday, which is when I qualified in my to the world championships. I got that spot. And then we had an off day, and then on Wednesday we had prelim and semifinal competitions for 3-meter, and then the final was on Friday. So we had a couple off days in which my coach warned me that I really needed to be careful about not thinking about diving too much and like really letting my downtime be downtime. And I really do think that that balance is what allowed me to be able to focus when it mattered. And so, yeah, it's just been really, really meaningful to be able to grow and learn from all of these experiences and get used to being on the world stage, as crazy as that sounds, and earn more opportunities to compete on the world stage again. So I qualified to go to the American Cup in West Virginia in June, and the Bolzano Cup at the beginning of July, and World Championships in Singapore at the end of July. And I'm really, really excited.
American Cup, Bolzano Cup, and then Singapore for the World Championships next. All of this while studying for the MCAT. Kwong has always given all of herself in all aspects of life, and as she works to prepare for the World Championships, she is figuring out what's next and how to support her dreams.
Right now I am studying for the MCAT to be able to apply to medical schools in about 2 years, to ideally matriculate into medical school after the Olympics in 2028. So right now, currently, I haven't really been able to develop that because I've been gone so much, but I'm going to study for the MCAT. My plan is to get a part-time job to support myself through this, and then train the rest of the time. So if there's anyone who knows of a job to support and maybe help support me in any way, that's appreciated. But I'm just taking it step by step, day by day, just trusting in God's providence that He'll provide, and that this is where He's calling me to, because I dive for His glory, you know, and as long as we keep that mindset and I keep my focus on Him, everything else will fall into place.
Lastly, Kwong talks about her coaches, specifically her diving coach, Anthony Crowder, and her journey throughout TCU and on the world stage.
So Anthony and our GA, Anna, have both just been incredible supporters, models, and encouragers for me. They believe in me when I don't believe in myself, and they assure me of my ability when it feels hopeless and when it feels just so begrudging to do the daily tedious tasks, you know. And they're very understanding of school and of personal life and the balance that you need to have in order to succeed. But their support and encouragement and belief in me have really allowed me to feed off of that. And when I don't believe in myself, I can believe in their belief in me, you know, and allow that to fuel me when I'm lacking. And I can only put in as much extra time as they're also willing to put in, you know, in the water at least. And so where I mentioned like I would come early and I would stay late, and I would especially stay late to just hammer in a correction or not stop till I get something right. That's also Anthony staying an extra hour for me, you know, and he has a wife and kids to get back to too. But so I'm also grateful for their sacrifice and his time, you know. But I don't believe that I would have had as much success without them and their willingness to buy into this journey and goal and dream as well. Yeah, I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to have competed and been on those stages and those platforms that I have, but also that I'm able to be here, and I'm appreciative to you for giving me the opportunity to share my story and share my journey with whoever it might impact.
We will be following Anna and her exciting career in and out of the pool. Congratulations to her, and we wish her all the best. Let's talk real quick about men's tennis. Cam Norrie and Jake Fernley played each other in the third round of the French Open. And they talked about how TCU prepared them to play professional tennis.
I mean, my career at TCU was amazing for my development, not only as a player, for as a person too. And I came in here and I think I was very immature, and it was definitely the perfect platform for me to really improve my game. And the culture here is just unbelievable. You know, everyone's pushing each other. Devin and David really set the standards very high. So I'm a very competitive person as well. So I took to it very, very well. And then it really gave me a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence, and being able to compete for TCU was so good, and it was a lot of fun. So, I mean, it's tough to put into a short sentence now, but it was definitely kind of where I started as a pro and start acting like a pro, and started some good routines and good things to set me up well for my career.
Especially being at TCU, Radidi does a great job of getting people to our games, and I think we do have the best fan base. Par maybe a couple of schools, but we're at the top of the fan base in college, and I think that prepares you for the big crowds that happen on the pro tour. And I think if you ask Jack, especially like when he's playing Spazzeri in that final match, I think he'll say that moment is going to help him a lot. Just playing in front of a crowd, those pressure moments that come with college tennis, it's huge for my development. I've had many experiences like that playing college, and for everyone who plays college, you're exposed to a different type of pressure, which can only help you on the pro tour.
Cam ended up beating Jake in straight sets, and we look forward to seeing them at Wimbledon. We will be back after this break to talk about women's golf and what's ahead.
Energy does everything for us. It's all-encompassing.
We're all benefiting and affected from it.
And it is something that we all need to know about.
It is the glue that holds everything together.
TCU is powering what matters, our future.
We don't just talk about what's needed, we focus on results.
The Ralph Lowe Energy Institute is creating a world where energy is affordable, sustainable, and reliable.
Before we go, we got some women's golf news to fill you in from last week's Charles Schwab Invitational at Colonial Country Club, where junior Sofia Barroso-Sa, fresh off of the NCAA National Championship, got an opportunity to play in the Pro-Am with the world's #1 golfer, Scottie Scheffler, and how she really found out she was playing.
So they told me that I was playing the Pro-Am before I went to Nationals, and what they told me was, you're playing with Davies Riley, the president of Charles Schwab, the president of Colonial, and I was like, okay, that's a big time thing, you know. And then when I was at Nationals, during the practice round, my coach made me read an email that said that I was actually playing with Scottie Scheffler the first 9 holes and the second 9 holes with Davies Riley, and I just I couldn't believe. It's just amazing. There are no words to describe how I'm feeling right now, but I'm just very excited and ready to show him some good golf.
Barroso-Sa talked about using this experience as where she wants to be someday, on the LPGA.
I heard there are a lot of people coming to watch, and just being able to balance my nerves and just excitement. I think this is a big stage for me to learn how to do that, since I'm playing with the #1 and just a lot of very high people, you know, and being able to experience this kind of stuff before being professional and then being that stage, and I think it's going to prepare me for that.
Sophia still has another year as a Frog, and she was lucky enough to have her teammate senior, Megan Winans, to join her at the Colonial to carry her bags. They got to play with the last year's Colonial champion, Davis Riley, for the first 9, and then Scheffler for the back 9.
Actually, I invited Coach K to come with me, and then when we got back from California, I was like, you know what, Coach K, I also want to have this experience with one of my best friends, so I'm gonna ask Megan if she wants to caddy for me, and she said absolutely yes, like I'll go. So it's gonna be very nice to walk the fairways with her and also have this experience with her.
So cool. I mean, she texted me a few days ago just like, caddy, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then got the news we're playing with Davis Riley and Scotty, so couldn't turn it down.
The women's golf team finished their historic season as the nation's number 15 team, and Barossa and Winans talk about the year and the team.
It was great. We all love each other, and I think that's the most important thing on a team is we are all friends and friends for life. Megan is caddying for me this week now, just today, and just bringing a teammate also to have this experience, and I just love that team, this team, and hopefully next year we'll have a great year that we had this year.
Unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better season. Obviously, nationals would have been awesome, but I think it all happened for a reason, and we had a great season. Love the girls, love the team, so just can't wait to be back here just for school and still be with them next year some.
As Winans graduated this year and her NCAA eligibility is up, she talks about what is next for her.
Yeah, I'm going to go pro here in September, and I think being at TCU, just practice has been so different. Days are so structured. That's really prepared me well, and, just how Coach kind of runs the team is what's gotten me ready.
This summer continues for all of our athletes as well as our football team as we get back to the weight room and begin training as well as start our OTAs installing football. We're also continuing the Frog Games, which you've seen all over social media, our home run derby to a golf cart drag race, and our latest was the Rockwood 500 where we race go-karts around the track.
We got 8 teams, 16 captains. Me and my brother are both captains. And the way we get points is academics, community service, and going to other team events like volleyball, basketball, and all the other sports. Of course, we also get points from the competition. My team's currently in second.
Well, I'm in first, and that'll do it for now. Thank you for joining us, the only media outlet that covers all of TCU athletics. Stay connected for dynamic, original content right here at Frogs Today. For Roxo Media House and TCU Football, I'm Devean Deal.
And I'm Markis Deal. For everyone here at Roxo Media House, this has been Frogs Today for Friday, June 6th. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week as we will be on location in Eugene with our track team. Go Frogs!